Ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday and welcome to your Friday Night Critique. Thank you everybody for being so patient with me. Today was just one of those days for me. I needed to be out of my apartment for a while because we were getting some work done. And then in the afternoon when I was ready to come back and do the critiquing, my wife there was something came up in the ER that she's a physician at, and she got called in. And then we got the call that my son was sick at daycare. So the afternoon and evening was me scrambling around trying to get the two kids under control. That was the first time I've ever done that, so it's kind of a big night for me. It's all done. Both the kids are asleep. My almost 2-year-old, I got him a bottle of milk. I let him watch Cars, the movie. We ordered some soup, which he loves, and empanadas from a restaurant in Hell's Kitchen called Empanada Mama, which is his favorite. And so we are all squared away here. But I wanted to thank you guys for your patience. And now we're ready to jump into the critique a little bit. So a couple things off the top. Number one is I am blown away by your guys' support with the Discord channel or Discord server. Something we wanted to test out and just see if we like that better than the interactions on Facebook in terms of getting feedback on your work and all that good stuff. So we are going to test it out for a week. For those that are trying it out, we'll send out a survey, see who likes it more, who likes it less, why. We're trying to limit the number of channels so it doesn't get too overwhelming, but we want to hear what works best for you guys, so keep giving us feedback on that. But before we get into these beautiful images, I do want to answer a couple questions here. Well, the first one is a question. The second one is a demo reel. So Aaron asks a great question. So when it comes to creating a sun for an outdoor scene in Arnold, I've always used spotlights because they're easy to control in terms of direction, shadows, and volume. However, a friend recommends area lights because they are more optimized in Arnold. Yes, area lights are more optimized in Arnold, but overall, I still, for my own testing, feel that spotlights are a better choice for sunlight. Now, I use area lights a heck of a lot more in Arnold than I did in any other software program because you're right, they are optimized more than area lights in other software, but I still feel like spotlights in Arnold for Maya still work better, again, in my A/B testing. That being said, in other software, I don't think Arnold doesn't always have a spotlight feature, so sometimes it's a matter of decreasing the area of an area light, but generally speaking, in what I work with, I try and use the spotlight as much as I can because you can control the edge, you can have more control over gobos. It's just like you can control the number of rays hitting the scene by putting that perfect spotlight circle exactly around your scene and really optimize the number of rays. I truly believe that. Obviously, everyone has their own way of working, but for me, I still stick with spotlights. For sunlight on outside days, pretty much almost everything else, I'm using area lights because they're pretty cool, but in that specific situation, I do find they work better. But that is an excellent, excellent question, Aaron. The other one, okay, so we've got Dani, and we're going to take a look at his demo reel real quick. So you're saying that the work is still work in progress, totally fine, but want to take a look at the reel itself. I'll turn off the audio here. Where's the audio? Let's take this down just a little bit. Whoop. Man, this bar on the bottom of my screen is just omnipresent all the time. There we go. Okay. So first off, and just something to watch out for in any sort of compression, you're getting some compression edging here. Also, the title, maybe, I can't tell. It just doesn't look totally centered to me. It looks a little bit north of centered. May just want to knock that down into place. And then we'll go from there. And I'm assuming the stretching is just from from Facebook being a little wonky. Although here it doesn't look too stretched out. So just watch out for that. In terms of your setup, I think that this is good. You show the shot first, then you show a breakdown. This pacing feels pretty good. The one thing I would say is you got to change the titles so it's not just like what you did. Like you can do that for the first image for the overall final one, but as you're going through the breakdown, you kind of want to say what each layer is, what you're adding to it. Say you're adding key lights, say you're adding ambient occlusion, say you're adding haze and comp, or whatever the case may be, but just like a brief description of what it is that we're looking at. And yeah, so start with the original, then go to the base level and build until the other one. This pass looks a little bit weird. It just looks like you're washing out the skin tone. So I would almost take that out a little bit there too. Final, which maybe overhead light. For that one, I would almost. It's almost like you want this light to be on and then turn this light for everything. It looks like this light is on for him, but not the table. Something weird is there. So you may want. I would link this light as this goes brighter with the table itself. So like turn those on together, if that makes sense. And same thing with the labels here. This one's good in terms of. I still think and I'll talk about this at the end. But I think like this one works well with the pacing and everything. This one, it felt funny that there wasn't a breakdown here. It felt like it was like I was getting into a really good cycle with them, and then we kind of lost it at the end. So I think your structure is good. I just think I think the next step is I think the thing is we just need to have you keep making work so you can keep making better and better work. That's the way to make the reel stronger. But I think you've got the editing down for the most part. It's just a matter of making some tweaks going forward. Okay, let's hop into some images here. Let's go. Let's go reverse alphabetical order. Make sure I got the last one there. Okay, Shane, you are up first today. So, like the depth of field, interesting thing about it is it seems to have added a lot of noise in those areas. Like it seems like we're losing some samples there. So just keep your eye on that. It feels a little low res. Watch out for the hard line there. I just noticed that. I don't know if that was there before. But again, like we're seeing some hard edge there, just some harder shadows then. And again, I think that might just be from the small light. Again, just make that a little bit bigger. The other thing I did want to point out from the original to this is that in the blues, we're basically the blues are more cyan and less purple, which is fine. It's just a matter of if that's what you want. So it would just be a matter of, let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this in Photoshop really well, but it's more of like this value versus this value. You see that in terms of the cools. So like the way that this has like a purple undertone and almost like a warmer blue. That this one in the original has more of a cyan color. Not a big deal. Could be totally a stylistic choice, but just something I wanted to point out so that you're aware of that. And then other than that, I'm cleaning that up. Face, shadows. I'm wondering if because I'm just like the shirt is a defined diffuse. I'm just wondering maybe if we can get the buttons to read a little bit more with some specular highlights or something, just to break that up a little bit. Yeah, and then I would increase the color of the irises too. His eyes are pretty small there, but his eyes are a little bit more glowy than that. So. Definitely the sclera, make those a little whiter, especially on this side, but I would boost the iris as well. Let's see. Okay, Perle, we've got a couple of submissions here for you, 3, I believe. Yeah. So let's start with your, this is looking great. I think this is looking really well. I would make this part of the car, terrible drawing there. I would make this part of the car be a little bit darker. Allow this to be like kind of a dark form. All that to be like, a lot to be dark, and then the brightness shooting out from the front of it with just like a slight bit of wrap around the rim. But I would take all this down and make that like a dark shape to really push us back into the space a little bit more. I love that we're hitting the edge of this. Again, I think that like it's working out really, really effectively in a handful of these places around the scene. I think that's looking really beautiful. The grass in the foreground is oddly just like super straight up. If you could clip some of those out, I think that would help. Like keep them around that level, like never really getting above that level, because you kind of want to clear them out. I'm wondering if play around with it. Maybe just like a little bit of rim light on the edge of the character. Maybe. I don't know. Play around with it. I'm wondering if that might hurt. Play around with it. See if you like it. If not, don't worry too much about it. Love the haze back behind this. I think that makes the house really pop forward. And then I would maybe try and sneak a little bit more of that purple color into these fill values, because I think it's really beautiful overall. I just want to sneak that in a little bit more. But really, really, really great stuff. Really strong piece that's coming together here. Mr. Bean is looking good. He's looking bright. Oh, by the way, his lips look so much better. So much better. You really did a good job with that. But overall, he's feeling a little overly lit. And I'm wondering if it might be just a matter of taking down the image just a touch. And then I want to just pull back the saturation on some of the reds now that we've done that. More in there. And then maybe just bringing up the darks just a touch more in the darkness. Maybe something a little bit more like that. So I do respect what you're going for with that, with the bright haziness. It's just a little bit too much. I would just inch back on that ever so slightly, and then I would pull some of the green out of his hair, especially on this side. I think that it's hurting. Let's see, maybe a little. This would be a little more red too. Just look at this hair there. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Oh. Maybe just a little bit of that. It's a little bit heavily handed, but it's just like his hair just feels like there's little greenness in there that again we want to, with his skin getting that warm, I want his hair to kind of match that. So I think we can pull a little bit of warmth out of his skin and add a little bit more into his hair there. But really, really good job too. But this one is less successful than the other ones for a couple of reasons. Number one is the fact that these spotlights decrease down to such like a very small point. You'd want them to be a little bit bigger, because they just look like they're like very far away. And then the shaping on this is really good. Really what's getting it is there's not enough like subsurface scattering on the skin, and it's allowing the fill side to go very cool and very dark. And then the eyes could use a little bit more punch. Like the very light blue on the eyes is it's not allowing us to make too much of a connection there. And then the way that the light is the same kind of brightness as it goes down her body, I think we can flank that off a little bit. Like I would maybe just shift this whole light over so it looks like it's coming down at her, and then use the cone light to minimize the influence down here to really get us to focus in up there. And then this light, the way that it's creeping all the way in on the side, I wouldn't do that. I would just pretty much make it like just a hair rim light there. And then use like an off-camera frontal fill light in here. And if it's fine if this goes blue on the edge, but like allow this to go a little bit warmer so we can get that hero skin tone. Because look at what it's doing. And then her hair color back here is almost looking a little green, and there it's looking a little bit burnt orange. So I would just pull that together a little bit more. And then inside of her mouth is a little bit dark. It just makes for like a little extra contrast in there and makes your teeth almost feel like they're dirty. And that's something you want to avoid there too. But I do think this one has a lot of potential. It's like your other ones are just really strong at this point. So I want to get those over the finish line and pull that one up to that level as well. Kyra, very cool stuff. Update. Oh, this is the old version. This is the updated version. It's amazing what a little bit of full resolution imagery and a little haze will do to it, which is really cool. I think I'm wondering if we can't get a little more bounce light into just around his snout. Like I just want to read the center of his face a little bit, and I think that will I think that'll play it up really well. I think it would be nice to get a little bit of red light there on the ground from that backlight. The headlights here are kind of dancing around being on or off. Like there's a haze there that would imply they're kind of on, but like as you can see in, I think it was, like this one in Perle shot, like look how bright they are. That feels like a headlight that's on, where this one feels like it's just kind of like maybe 30% on. The windows feel a little bit lifted. I would darken them and just add in more reflection. But yeah, the character himself is looking really good. It's just like this central core area is getting a little bit like too dark. I would just like push in some faux light, but not make it too green. I like how the green is happening here. Just like maybe even just like a little spotlight right in the center of his face to lift that up a little bit. It's something you have to do with characters sometimes when they're small on screen. Just a little trick there. All right, Keven, very cool stuff here. The depth of field is a little bit strong, so I'd pull that back just a little bit. I do think, I'm wondering, because now we've got kind of a, like we're creating pockets of light. So we've got pocket here, and probably like pocket around there. I'm wondering if we can de-emphasize the other stuff, like the way that this is darker and this is darker and it's working out well. I would try and maybe figure out a way to darken this area back in here. Make it like, I don't know, pretend like there's a cloud or something that's shadowing up the moon, even though you don't actually see one. And then the other thing too that we were seeing is that like when the light gets kind of bright in this region, it's creating shadows of this grass on the ground, which makes more contrast down here. So I would almost like gobo or light block that from the key light as well. So I think it would just be a matter of adding in a couple light blockers there. And then the doorway needs to either be dark or as bright as these. Right now it's teetering in the middle, and it doesn't make sense logically in my head, because it's like, if like these all feel like the same room, right? It's like a door with windows. It's all like a whatever, the living room. So if the door is closed, then that light is blocked out and it's dark there, right? If that door is open, then they're going to be as bright as the things on either side of it, light coming out of it. So I think you should pick a side on that one. And I think that is about it for now. Yeah, I think that's good there. Cat. Such good progress. Very inspired to see what you're getting to so quickly from what we saw early on. It's showing a dedication and a lot of pride in your work, and I think that's really cool. I'm wondering if we can't influence the surroundings more around this character. It feels like the ground here and some of the area on the house would get brighter right around the character. You know what I mean? Like, so her head is so bright, and she's probably just a few feet away from that wall. And I feel like that would be brighter, right? And then like it would kind of fade down and away, and then maybe there'd be like a pool of light because she's just, whatever. She looks, if this is a door, doors are usually 7 feet tall. She's probably a 9-foot creature. So she's 10 feet from the ground. So I just feel like there could be more brightness in there. And same what I was saying in the previous one, it would be maybe just get like a touch of like super bright light from the headlights coming up over here, and then like make it a little brighter right there. And then I would even darken these areas a little bit more. So really just kind of center us in there. But I do really like this, because like you're showing the hood of the car without showing a car, right? You're suggesting it with some simple lighting, and I think that's brilliant. So really, really good job there. Great progress. Jenn, cool stuff. I love the green versus the warmth. I think I would almost clear out some of this grass in here. It just, again, it feels like too perfectly straight up down, and it's kind of hurting us a little bit. So I would just push that over to the right. And then I would find a reason to get more darker values in some of this area. I'm trying to think of where. So like it almost feels like it needs to sneak in here in the foreground, because like I just want it to be like more in this region, and then we can brighten up the brights a little bit too. And it's fine that we have that haze, but like, I just want to, that's a little bit too much, but I just want something in here. And then every time I do that, I always pull down the saturation a little bit because it makes the saturation a little wonky. Just because like I want more dynamic range to the image. But I do see that there's a lot of value in the glow. I just want to isolate them to like around these lights and maybe around this character just a little bit more. I'm also wondering if there isn't a way to add more impact of the light on this if we do two things. One, lower the fill value in here and make that a little darker, and two, increase the pitch of the key light a little more so that more of this area gets in shadow. So like the overall surroundings are dark, and then we can amp up the green light and glow up the green in there a little bit more. I would also, do you see how these trees are a little bit less key hit? I would make those a little less key hit too, to really draw us more to the house. And other than that, but like this is looking really structurally sound. I think this is looking really good. And now we got your reference here. Let's make this a little bigger. Let's take a look at the image. So yeah, good stuff here. Let's take a look. So headlights, same thing. We were talking about the other ones. Get them bright. Get them up to that level, right? This level is what we're talking about. Because when the core of them is a little bit like that, it just again teeters between being on and being off. Great job on this rim. That looks really good. Like the glowing of the eyes. This looks really good. I think that these can actually get brighter. Let me think about that for a second before I say that out loud. One of these can get brighter. Maybe keep those where they are, and then the value in here, like maybe that can go brighter. Oh, that's not what I want. Because I think that they are in the same like realm in terms of their value overall, and I just want one to dominate over the other just a little bit. So it's just to get a little more variation. Something more like that. Do you see how that pushes that a little bit brighter? I think something like that would be good. Haze is looking really beautiful. I think we can add more roll off to it in this region. I think like maybe isolate the haze a little bit more around there. So just like, and it's really just a matter of making it darker as we go off over there to kind of get us to focus in there in this region. A lot of big moons in these submissions, and they're really cool. Yeah. Like the refraction in there. I think that's working out pretty well. Yeah, really beautiful stuff. Just hit those handful of things. Forrest. Okay, let's take a look. We got your... well, that's not your reference for your poker puss. It's your reference for that. Okay, poker puss. I think this looks great. I like the highlights and everything. The one area that I would look at is the specular highlight on the center of his face. It just feels a little bit too orange, and I would almost pull back. Oof. You know what it is? I just want it to be redder. I want him to stay, like, do you see how it's like going into this yellow? I want to push that a little bit redder. And then we can go a little bit brighter from there. If you wanted to, that's not going to really work that well in Photoshop. But I just basically, I don't want to get away from his hero color a little bit. Just more. I think I erased too much. It's really just a matter of not allowing that to allowing to go brighter, but keeping that saturated red color. And then maybe just darken these cards just a touch more. They just feel very close and very bright right now. Okay. Nope. Copy paste. Again, a super ghetto darkening here just to see. Yeah, I think darkening those down a little bit will help. Same thing with these. Just take those guys down. But I think this is looking really pretty. Yeah, this is a great looking shot. Be proud. All right, Forrest. Okay, so you're blocking this out. That's very cool. One thing about a car that's flipped over and the scene that you've created here, I want a little bit more chaos in the lighting, right? So clearly something horrible has just happened. I want like one of these headlights to be like askew or shining in a way that's not like maybe this, like one of these is like dangling out, or one of them is out, or just super bright. Like maybe one of these is broken and instead of shining red light, it's shining white light out. I want a little bit more destruction basically out of these. And then, you know, like if this one's on, this one should be off because it's on the ground. And then it's almost, I want a payoff here too, because I love the setup of the idea of a car accident happening, people being trapped in the car, and then the way that the car rests and positions highlights a sinister thing going on. That's like, if you thought the car accident was bad, just wait what's in store next. I do like that these are framing this up a lot. I would isolate the headlight down in here and then darken the light that's hitting there to allow that just to be kind of rim light, and really play up the headlights a little bit stronger too. But good start. Yeah, I like this a lot. There's a lot of story potential there. Donika, again, still your best work that you've done. I just want a little bit more fill lights in the poker puss's face there. And just make him a little bit more. Keep him on that hero color of red. It turns out he's very susceptible to getting some oranges in there. So just keep him on that red color and fill him in just a little bit more. Other than that, really beautiful stuff. This down here, that's the other thing. If you have this as a separate ambient occlusion pass, I would, why is it not drawing? Oh, I see. I would just lift, take away the ambient occlusion a little bit down there, because like this area is getting pretty jet black, and down there too. Just lift it just a touch. Cut it like in half if you can. But great, everything else looking great. All right, Diana, here we go. So, yes, so you asked about this foreground fog. Someone included a link to the Arnold fog. Very cool stuff. Totally agree. My opinion, my advice, render it separately. And so you can add it in as a separate component, either in Photoshop or a comp. It's something that like, it's just so much easier to add it in as a secondary effect, because you can like twist it and tweak it and glow it and add it in certain spots, but not in other spots, much more easily than if you have it baked into the original render. Other advice, make sure that you're increasing the radius of this light a little bit, because there's these shadows. So the moon, I always say this, the moon is just the largest reflected light in the world. The moon doesn't actually glow. It's just reflection off the sun and coming into the environment. So the light that's actually bouncing off of it is a little more diffused than sunlight. I love the way that it's picking up these highlights on the trees. Really good stuff. And then I'm looking at the character and I'm wondering if there's not a better way of doing it than just because it just looks like opacity, and I'm wondering if we can't like maybe make her glow a little bit, or just adding something to her so it's not just like she's gone transparent on the edges. You know what I mean? And then I think that overall you can make the house brighter too. I think that this region, just to like, that's just making the background brighter. That's not what we want. Oh. You? And then just super ghetto. So like, because I want the house to pop off a little bit more. Do something like that. But really cool stuff. Yeah, you're getting it. You're getting it. It's coming together. Dani in the poker scene. We've got your exterior scene and your castle scene. Okay, poker scene first. Good update here. Again, you're doing a good job keeping on the hero color. Still dissect what's happening. Ooh, that's not what I want. What is happening on the tentacle here? There's still a sharp line there. Watch out for the brightness underneath the table there. Sharp line there. A little bit of purple spill on the table, which is totally bouncing off him. That's fine, but it's just working against the blue values and kind of making them gray a little bit. Wondering, and again, this volumetric light. I guess it just needs to be. So it's the problem is like this is very hard edged. There would be more of a glow out of it where like that area would be brighter. It's just like that this fog volumetric is a consistent value until we get to about here, and then it just kind of gets soft on the edge. Like I want to get shaping in there too. I really want it to be brighter around the source and really fade off. And then, I mean, keep it in the position. Don't let it get past here. But just create more variation in there. And then, just kind of like go in there and just like glow up that edge a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's a good next step there for this exterior. All good stuff. A lot of noise on this building. But I do like the variation on it a lot. Just look at your reference again. Add that kind of haze over the top there. I think that's a good next step in there. And maybe, just maybe, because it does just feel like the city just ends. Like, and there's nothing. Like, is there like another? I'm trying to think if like we can. If it'd be, because we want to keep that open. Maybe it's just a matter of adding an extra building on the end of each side to close this down just a little bit. Because it just feels like it's wide open space. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it just feels like the edge of the world a little bit. Watch out for light on this side of this building. Again, we want to keep it all kind of coming out of that source. It's a little bit. It's fine if we're getting a little bit on the front here because we can haze that up, but just on the opposite side is a little bit problematic. Let's start with that and let's go from there. All right. For this interior, I think the fill value is looking 1,000 times better. On the ground, a lot of like these scuffy dark shapes are too black, and they should be picking up the light. Like you shouldn't. In the sunlight, they shouldn't be getting as black as that. Additionally, in the sunlight areas, like these could be brighter. Like make it feel like that's being lit by sunlight, you know? That might be a little bit too much, but I think, something like this will really. Because think about what the camera's doing right now. It's exposed for the interior space. It's exposed for the secondary interior light. So the light streaming in through the windows would be much, much brighter than that. And that will help overall. And then the way this light's bouncing up is really cool. Just maybe like inside these tunnels would be just to get more shaping in here, that just a little bit darker in there. And then, because again, it's balancing. Because again, the floor is super scruffed up, but the pews are like perfect. Yeah, just take off some of the dark bits there. Make sure you get a bump or something on the ground. If this is because otherwise it just looks like these are painted on. Same thing with the brick. Let's see if we can't get some more bump out of there. But yeah, really good progress here. Amy, this looks great. It's the first time I've seen this shot used in one of these. But you're doing a really, really good job of matching the overall warmth, the hue, the goldeny, sunny goodness. I just think that you can add. I think you can fill in the shadows even more. Because looking at this, like even back here where there should be more shadow, it's not. Even down here, it's pretty lifted. So I think you can even add a stronger level of fill value and a stronger like glowy haziness to it would be really great. Go ahead and ground this guy. I'm sure I'm like 99% sure that's my fault. But just try and get that guy in the ground. I think that'll help. But really, really, really beautiful stuff. Alfredo. Love the new angle. I'm just looking at this as tying these three together. So I think this one and this one are working together well. I still think this is too much on top of his head, but it does match in here. This one also feels a little bit more on the purple end, and this starts to feel a little bit more green in the fill. So I would match those up. Oh, these headlights, let's take down the lens flare that's up there. Tone that down like 50%. Let's really try and focus in down here. And then this one doesn't quite match up with this. Again, the purple light in the fills. And then like looking at this, that fence is the same as that fence. So you just want to get a little bit more light in there. And then I'm wondering if it wouldn't be valuable to get some sort of read on the idea that there's headlights on. I guess probably not. I guess maybe it would just be a matter of getting something reflecting in the rear view mirror there. And then if you can drop the camera down a little bit so that these characters come down so we can kind of see the top of their heads a little bit too. I think that would be good. Yeah. But I like these these have been great from the beginning. It's just a matter of keep pushing them to make them better. Okay, I believe that's all for today. Let's just do a quick last check because it is the weekend coming up. Let's make sure that there wasn't any additional, it wasn't anything that I missed. If there was, I am very sorry. I was trying to get them from both the Discord channel and the Facebook group. So if I missed anybody's anything, please let me know. Diana, we saw yours there. Yeah, yes. Okay, great. So thank you all very much again for your patience today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday. All right, happy lighting, everybody.